Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be learning a technique or rather a method I saw in a Adam Duff video. If you don't know who Adam Duff is, his channel is Adam Duff Lucid Pixel and he makes these videos, and I'll link his channel and the videos I'll talk about further in the description or any annotation here up above. And he makes these videos for freelance artists and studio artists alike, or just artists in general, even new hobby artists. And he talks about things like art block and dealing with peer pressure from the industry, or dealing with your own peer pressure and how to break through these things, or how to get better at art in general, how to deal with social media for an artist and stuff like that. And in one of his recent videos that I was watching, not a recent video but a recent watch of mine, he had this beautiful painting in the background. He usually does this where he puts a time-lapse painting of an older painting in the background and he talks over that. So he had this beautiful painting in the background and he had a character, and he wanted to add a glowing effect after he finished painting the character, and he created these three layers like you can see over here. And then he drew into that layer and he had all this information that he needed for that glowing effect, almost like a wisp floating in that one layer. And that was very amazing for me, and I wanted to learn how to do that, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Like, I didn't know what to search for. So I slowed down the video to 0.25 speed, because the whole thing, the whole method that he did, or what we're going to see today, he did in under a second. And I'm sure as we learn it, as we use it more, we'll further get there too. But for me, it was very quick and I had to slow down the video, and it was a time lapse, so it was much faster than reality too. So I slowed down the video, and this is the information I got from it. And I'll just show you what the method is first, and then we'll go ahead and into breaking down as how we did it. So as you can see, we have this layer here. I've already drawn like a stone or two rocks and a tree on it and some ground over here. We're gonna go ahead and add more rocky information into this particular layer now. And as you can see, just by drawing the stroke, which nothing, this brush is nothing. If I were to switch this off, you can see it's just white, and it gathers all this information from the above layer. I'll show you how it's done. And so it takes all this information, all these highlights, midtones, dark tones, everything within the single layer, and creates this beautiful glowing color and captures all this night sky or whatever you want to create. I'm sure it can be used for like under helmet glows or like LED glows and stuff like that, and we'll look at further applications of it further in the video. But let's just go ahead and create this particular layer, and then we can play around with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and eye this group now. We'll also apply it to one of my paintings and see how we can maybe change it, or could have made it easier in hindsight. So he made two layers first, and the bottom layer he filled with black, and then he created another layer, but it was a gradient map. And now this is what holds all the color informations. Now we took all these layers and put them into a screen, and over here, what you want to do with this gradient layer, if it started off like this, is flip the colors first. This will always be black. And now, as you can see, we've gone back to our original background layer, which is not the black color, but the gray color. And this, you need to look at this particular gradient map in a sort of way where it's like a comet. Think of it like a comet. And your brightest point of your comet is going to be this side, the right side, and the darkest point of your comet is going to be the left side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go add a blue glow to this particular layer. And I don't think we put it all into a group, did we? Yeah, put it all into a group and put that group to screen. This particular layer does not need to be screen, it can be normal. So make the group screen, and now you can see we've gone back to our original color. Now this doesn't mean that any layer, any color you add into this gradient map will not bleed through to the bottom. If you change this particular dark tone, the last tone always needs to be dark. If you change it to any other color, that will apply to your last layer, and it'll bleed into your bottom layers and everything in your painting. So always keep this to be black, and we'll keep the darkest blue over here. So we'll go here and pick up the darkest blue, and as you can see, no matter how close we get to that black, as long as we don't break through the black color, we are fine with having whatever color we want over here. And don't worry about this abrupt ending, it doesn't matter. It's just, think of black as an essential masking layer. We'll talk about that again too. So we'll just go ahead and add a more popping blue over here, a more bright blue to catch some of the color details. And maybe a little bit more over here, a nice soft blue, and give this guy at 95, and then I'm going to add another darker tone over here. And if you see some banding as you create this, it's not a big issue. Keep it as smooth as you want. It doesn't matter at all. It's your own preference. So now we have this color information, and now this color information is waiting to be fed onto the layers below it. And now the black layer, if you know how masks work, black is essentially transparent, and white will be what erases that transparency and brings color into this mask. And so essentially we have our color information waiting in this gradient layer. Then we have our mask, which is the black layer. And now it's waiting to receive information from this middle layer, which will catch the color from the top layer and throw it onto the bottom layer, throwing it onto anything below that layer. That is the rest of our painting. And you can only paint, as you know, in masks with black and white. And the whiter your brushstroke, the more you'll catch further into that gradient, and the lighter your brushstroke, the lower into that gradient. I'll explain this again too. So now if I were to draw something like we did earlier, and now you can see we're catching what looks like a bright blue sky, or a nice, like almost alienated bright sky in the night light. And there's a lot of applications for this. The brush I'm using right now is the Shady Safari, or Shady Safari, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry, but it's his brush set, and it's a free brush set. You can go grab it online, and I use it to create environmental art like this, and it's really cool. And this particular brush is the best for creating rocks and terrains and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and play with some other brushes. This is just a soft brush, just like your general brush that you have in Photoshop. And this brush I found you could use to create something like HR Geiger type effect, like pipes that flow into each other and create weird effects that you could have, like you could essentially create like a lightsaber with it, which kind of applies to the drawing we're going to look at mine later. But you can create like a nice soft hue, or like this looks like a pill for some reason, but you can see the various applications this has already, and you can use it in various brush sets. I've had luck using it in mostly brush sets that have a lot of texture to them. And if I were to disable this gradient layer, you can see exactly what's going on in the color capturing. So the brightest points of the white stroke is capturing the brightest point of that gradient layer, and the darkest point of these brush strokes is capturing further down the line. And wherever they fade off into the darkness, this fades off into the darkness too. That's how it captures that light. And so we'll go ahead and create something like this. Now this is just a simple pencil brush I use to sketch my works, and as you can see, it also captures it in a very nice manner. Now let's go ahead and apply it to one of my paintings. And of course you can play around with this. This is just a method I'm teaching. I'm not teaching you how to use the method. The limits are endless, and so go ahead and find whatever you want to do with it. So we'll go ahead and hide this particular layer. And by the way, if you want to change the colors, you can always change any point of the color information on this, and it'll apply immediately to that particular point of that brush stroke in that entire layer, as you can see. And you can play around with this after you painted the layer also, and create some cool effects through it. So now I'm going to let it stay at that, and I'm going to hide this layer and create a new layer, which again will just capture the light color information from the top layer. And we'll enable my painting. This is a Darth Vader painting I did a few weeks ago, and as you can see, this painting would have used a lot would have made a lot of use from this technique, because it has essentially what we've learned all this while. It has bright high tones, it has bright mid tones, it has a lot of glowing colors, it has these dark colors in the background, and sorry, not in the background, in his suit, and is all the shiny parts of his suit and his helmet are catching all these bright LED lights, and even his lightsaber and stuff like that. And I want to focus on these particular reflections on his helmet, and I think these are the points where this particular technique could have come in very handy when I was painting this particular painting. Now let's go ahead and just create some more reflections just to add, and I know it won't make any sense, but just to add into this particular painting. And if I were to talk about how this was created, I have to create a dark blue paint it on, then the lighter blue comes on, then the white comes on, and that's how the rest of these glowing effects were created. But now we have one layer thanks to the method we just learned and thanks to Adam Duff. And if we use that layer and I just draw within that layer, you can see I can essentially create that kind of bluish glow I need from that particular effect immediately without even like wanting to go ahead and add any type of effects or anything like that. You can see it catches that glow immediately within that one single layer. It has all this information just flowing into it through that gradient layer and captures it all so perfectly. And I think if you like get a brush where you yourself have more control over the brightness and know where the dark tones and the high tones are, you can really get a lot out of this particular brush stroke. And I think this was something that could have been useful for me when I was drawing this particular painting, which I didn't know at that point. And now that I learned this effect, maybe I kind of want to try and redo this painting, but maybe I'll try a new painting altogether. And so go ahead and try it on your own paintings. Go ahead and try your own methods and try how you can play around with it. I'm sure this can be done within a single masking layer as well. I don't know how you'd work that out, but go ahead and give it your own try and see where you can apply it, what kind of new applications you can find from it. Share your artwork in the comments. I really love looking at all these artworks that people draw on ArtStation and stuff like that. So share your artwork in the comments and go show some love to Adam Duff. He needs all the viewership he can get because that man is amazing with his videos. And with nothing further to do, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you guys again. Bye bye.